If you've ever Googled, should I run ads or should I do SEO, and found yourself more confused than when you started, you're not alone. Many answers probably hyped up one over the other and didn't really give you anything to compare, where it really depends on where your business is at and what you're really trying to achieve. Instead of adding to the confusion, I'm going to do my best to break these down so you understand what you're truly investing in, the pros and cons of each of them, and what you can really expect so that you can get ahead of your competitors, whether it's doing ads, SEO, or both. And just as a heads up, I like being transparent. At Details Roadmap, we don't offer ads, but we do offer ongoing SEO services. But I want to go through both of these as a non-bias, as a lot of our successful partners are doing both, and they're great benefits for both sides of the business. So let's get into it. To start, let's make sure we're on the same page for what each of these actually are. When I say ads, I'm talking about Google ads. I'm not talking about Meta today. But as far as paid search goes, when you search for something on Google and you see a sponsor tag next to it, that is a Google paid ad. You are renting that spot. You set a budget and you bid on keywords like ceramic coating near me, PPF in your city, and when someone searches that, you can pop up in that sponsored space. When I say SEO, I'm talking about your organic results. These are the results that show below the sponsored spot, that number one organic spot. No one paid Google to be here, these were earned. Same page, two very different strategies. And both can put your business in front of people who are actively searching. Let's break down both so you have a better understanding of each of them. Let's talk about the benefit of ads. They're quick setup campaigns that can be live and generating leads for you within a few days. They're predictable and scalable when you have a strong sales process in place. You have full control over budgeting, targeting, and when you want to run your ad campaign. In contrast with ads though, you're renting that visibility. It's not an investment. It's something that you're always going to be paying for. You could be doing ad for 1, 2, even 3 years. And if you stop that, you go back to complete zero as far as lead funnel goes. The competitive markets can also drive up your cost per click. So if you're in a very competitive area, this can really decrease your ROI depending on how the ads are performing. So the more competitive, the more it can drive up cost. There's no long-term equity built within ads either. It doesn't compound over time. The biggest advantage of ads though is speed. You can get a campaign up within a few days or a couple weeks depending on how in-depth it is. So if your business is newer, you're adding in a new, say, service that you haven't offered before and you don't have rankings for, ads is going to be your best friend as far as getting those leads in quick. The other thing that ads has going for them is it can be predictable. If you have a really, really good sales process, you understand what your close rate is, and you have a great team in place, it can really become a lever that you can pull on and off. Obviously with ads, you should never really shut them off. It should be consistent, but you can choose to up that budget if you're seeing great close rates and great results. However, here's some trade-offs that you need to understand before you go all in on ads. First, you're renting that visibility. Every dollar that you spend is just really renting that top spot in Google. And if you cut off that spend, that spot's gone. Zero leads immediately. There's no continued momentum. Secondly, the cost per click can get expensive. Depending on how competitive your area is and how many people are going for that top spot, you could be spending anywhere from $20 to $100 plus a day. And that doesn't guarantee a lead. That's just guaranteeing that they're going to be clicking to your website or to your landing page. So you're paying for a lead that might not actually call you or submit a form with you. So if your market is saturated with other shops, you're really in a bidding war. And sometimes that can really drive up your cost per click. The bottom line on ads, they're fast, which is great if you're looking for leads now. They're predictable, but the bottom line is you're always going to be paying to stay in the game. Let's talk about the benefits of SEO though. SEO compounds over time, so it's actually a true investment for your brand and for your business. You're investing in your rankings. The longer you invest in SEO, the more aggressive your results. SEO leads to organic leads, which have a higher close rate, turning potential leads into qualified buyers. And in contrast, SEO takes time. It really takes 5 to 7 months to really start to see the needle shift. It requires consistent effort to maintain and move those rankings over time. Algorithm changes can change and shift rankings, so SEO is very much a long-term investment if you want to continue to be on top of those rankings. Overall, SEO takes time. You're not looking at a week or a month. You're really looking at 5 to 7 months to really start seeing the needle start to move in an impactful way. But here's where SEO is completely different from ads. It's an investment, not a rental. Say you spend $2,000 a month on ads, $2,000 a month on SEO, and for some reason after a year, you decide to stop both. Your ad leads, they're gone, back to zero. But with your SEO, those rankings don't just disappear, all because that content you've created over time sticks with your business. That's the investment piece. SEO compounds, ads don't. There's also something really interesting that happens with organic leads. When someone finds you in a Google search and they read through your service page, for this example, we'll say PPF, they understand what it is, what are the benefits, why it's a good investment, what your packages are, etc. They really fully understand the service and what you're offering. By the time they reach out to you, they've had what I call the I want that moment. They're already sold on it. They understand the benefits and they're ready to go. They're not just clicking on an ad. They sought you out, they educated themselves, and they found exactly what they're looking for. That translates into higher overall closed leads compared to ads. Now let's integrate what we've talked about and actually apply some data to it. First, I want to talk about an acronym called CTR, and maybe you've heard of it, which means click-through rate. What this is talking about is the amount of people that are actually clicking on the result that they're searching. Meaning, to put it very simply, if 100 people search for a result and 5 of them click on yours, that means you have a 5% click-through rate. Now let's talk about the actual click-through rate of, say, an organic Google search and a Google paid ad. And I, again, encourage you to search this on your own. You can use ChatGPT and Google. Double check me on this. But the number one spot on Google paid ads is usually around 2 to 5% for a click-through rate. Now, sometimes on the higher end, it can be 7 to 10%, but averages most industries see is usually between 2 to 5%. Now, for the number one spot on organic for SEO, the click-through rate is usually 25 to 40%, and sometimes higher than that. So just think 2 to 5% compared to 25 and 40%. Pretty insane results when you're looking at something that's both on the first page of Google. Now, that doesn't mean that ads are bad CTR generators. They're great generators and actually can funnel a lot of leads. But as far as a percentage, the overall organic spot is going to get you the best overall click-through rate. What this is really showing is how many people overall trust the number one organic result. Some people will see the sponsored result and scroll right past it. Again, not to say that ads are bad, but overall people are going to trust the number one organic spot the most when they're looking for a specific service. Now, again, this isn't a which one's good, which one's bad. The real kicker is that most of our partners and most successful businesses are doing both. You're going to get the overall highest click-through rate when you have the number one sponsored spot and when you have that number one organic spot. So overall, long-term, you're going to want to do both. What having both top spots is going to give you is really just overall brand authority. And that's worth really looking at too long-term. Right now, you might just be deciding, is ads best for me right now, or is it SEO? But long-term, you should really be doing both. For example, if you're spending $3,000 a month right now for ads and you're doing nothing for SEO, you're not really investing in the long term of the business. Whereas, for example, if you're doing SEO, but then you're not doing ads, you might be missing certain areas of the business where you could really impact. And again, doing both of these long term is going to give you the best overall CTR in the business. So what you may be asking is, what's the real answer? And again, I was going to try and give some clarity for this video. This isn't a which one's better or which one you should do, but overall, there is definitely a summary. Ads is going to get you leads much quicker, and it's going to be much faster than any type of SEO optimization that you could do. Where SEO is going to give you much more long-term scale and is much more of a real actual investment for the business. Not saying that ads are an investment, but again, you do both for a year and you cancel, one is going to have traction still, one's going to go to complete zero. But again, long term, the whole goal should be able to build a budget that you're doing both. An effective ad campaign and an effective SEO campaign is going to give you that local domination across the board for your competitors. If you're a newer shop, or again, you're getting into new services that you haven't done before, really marketed before, ads is 100% where you want to start. Especially with a brand new website, it's going to be slow. It's going to take time. If you're needing leads now and you really want to create a funnel, ads is definitely where you want to go. This will get leads in the door. It'll help build your overall sales process. It'll cover the costs and is going to be the best legitimate place to start. But if you're running ads long-term and you're not building the organic presence, long-term, you're going to be in a really tough spot because you're going to be fully reliant on ads. Again, ads really isn't necessarily a compound long-term scale, because every month that you're spending that ad budget, you're not going to build a long-term equity for the business. You get to the point where that budget dries up or it really starts to shrink for the business, you're going to be in a really tough spot because now that lead funnel is going to be gone. The shops that really separate themselves Long-term is going to be investing in not only a good website, but long-term SEO as well. But again, in the long run, best option, best overall results is to budget for both of these things, doing ads and ongoing SEO. If you're curious what ongoing SEO might look like for the business, or if it's even the right fit for your business at this time, feel free to reach out. We'd love to walk you through it. We might even be able to point in the direction of someone who might be able to help you with ads if you're not getting the result, or if you're not doing any marketing in general right now. The link to reach out is in the description right below. And if you have any other questions, drop them below. Let's have a conversation in the comments. Happy to help any way I can.